SmackDown GM Nick Aldis has made a shocking decision concerning Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. But how did we get here? It all started on the most recent edition of Friday Night SmackDown. Everyone was waiting for Roman Reigns to respond to The Rock when Kayla Braxton walked up to Roman Reigns backstage and asked, "What do you think about The Rock calling you out?" Roman Reigns laughed and then went on his way. However, he would return, and it would lead to Nick Aldis making a surprising announcement. A big match was scheduled on the show, as we would see a triple threat between the three #1 contenders for Roman's title, and the winner would face Roman at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. In this match, it would be Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight who would win and who would go on to face Roman. But before we could get a winner in that match, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline decided to interfere. Roman, Solo, and Jimmy Uso began destroying each opponent, Orton, Styles, and LA Knight, taking them out one by one until they were no longer able to compete, and the match had to be thrown out. So there was no winner, and there was no single challenger to Roman's title. But watching on the outside of the ring was SmackDown GM Nick Aldis. He witnessed Roman's attack on these three wrestlers, and he was not happy about it. Nick Aldis was out there from the beginning, so Roman had to know if he launched an attack on these three wrestlers, he was doing it in front of the boss, the man who could make or break Roman. But Roman may have wanted to show who is actually the boss, the man who is actually in charge of SmackDown. Roman obviously believes it's him and not Nick Aldis. Just prior to SmackDown going off the air, Nick Aldis told Paul Heyman that Roman would have to face these three challengers that he just destroyed in a fatal four-way match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. But then, after SmackDown went off the air, Nick Aldis made another shocking decision concerning Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. Let's get into the full details on this right now. Once upon a time, Roman Reigns could actually do anything he wanted on SmackDown. But then WWE hired a permanent GM for SmackDown in Nick Aldis. And since then, Roman has been on a tight leash as Nick Aldis has been watching over him, making sure that if Roman makes one mistake, that he will let Roman know who is in charge. A couple weeks back, Nick Aldis and Roman Reigns sat down for their very first meeting. And in this, Nick Aldis tried to convey to Roman Reigns that he himself was in charge and not Roman, and that Roman was not allowed to break WWE rules, and if he did, he would be severely punished. Nick Aldis made it known that he was not afraid of Roman Reigns, even though Roman is the most powerful wrestler in WWE. Obviously, the meeting between Nick Aldis and Roman Reigns didn't instill any fear into Roman Reigns, because right in front of the GM on SmackDown, Roman attacked the three wrestlers involved in the triple threat. And this could have been not to destroy these three wrestlers, but it was to send a message to Nick Aldis saying, "You think you're in charge? Well, look what I'm going to do to your triple threat and the wrestlers involved in it. I'm going to destroy them right in front of you, and you're not going to do anything about it." Now, Nick Aldis, he has the power to punish Roman Reigns. And after SmackDown went off the air, we now know that Nick Aldis has made a very disturbing decision concerning Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. Now, you have to remember, just before SmackDown went off the air, and Nick Aldis was at ringside witnessing this path of destruction by Roman and the Bloodline, Aldis walked over to Paul Heyman and told Heyman that, guess what? Because of Roman's actions, Roman is now going to have to defend his title in a fatal four-way match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. And the reason why that is so bad is because Roman does not have to be pinned to lose his title. Now, Roman was not aware that Aldis told Heyman this at ringside. It wasn't until they went backstage when Paul Heyman broke the news to Roman that Roman would have to defend his title in a fatal four-way at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view against Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles. Roman Reigns was livid when Paul Heyman told him this. And Roman Reigns got so mad about Aldis making this fatal four-way that Roman Reigns basically threw his title at Paul Heyman and said, "Fix this," meaning get him out of this fatal four-way match. And that is where this new punishment will come in for Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. It is now rumored that when Paul Heyman goes in to talk with Nick Aldis, that Nick Aldis will say, "It's too bad that Roman Reigns doesn't want to do this fatal four-way, but guess what? I have more bad news for you and Roman. You are both suspended." And it's being reported that this meeting will happen on the next edition of SmackDown. Now, what could this mean for this fatal four-way match? Could this be a suspension just up until the pay-per-view? So right now, a lot of things are up in the air, but what we do know is that Nick Aldis is about to make a shocking decision to suspend Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. And the question is, what does this mean for their future in WWE? What are your thoughts about Roman attacking all three participants in the triple threat match? And what are your thoughts about the rumor that Nick Aldis will suspend Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman? Leave a comment below and give me your opinion. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell notification and check out our new YouTube channel, Wrestling News Now Insider. Click on the link to visit it now, and you will get brand new exclusive videos.